All right, Sparky Coach Potty Crowie here with my friend Cam.
What's up?
What's up? What's up to you? What's up to your mum?
Wow, just what's going on?
What's going on?
Welcome back. Hope you've been enjoying it so far.
We're on lesson 2 of Make 2024 Great Again, Make 2024 Simple Again, and just getting back to business basics. And, we're going to say this a lot, but recognizing that it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how many star players are on the team. If you can't hold the ball, you're not going to win the game.
You're not.
So just getting back to basics of business. And I think so many times you can overcomplicate it and think you need this and that. But in fact, you pretty much just need 6 things. You need staff, you need clients, you need to know your numbers back end, know your numbers front end, and your product needs to be awesome on and off site. Like if you just simplify it down to that, everything ties back into people, product, and numbers. And if we can do those 3 things well, you'll be standing here or sitting there or driving your car or whatever in a year's time and be like, I've progressed.
That recipe tastes good.
The recipe, a bit of baking soda in there, a bit of secret Sparky Coach sauce.
Lesson 2?
Yeah, lesson 1 was about clients. So I'd encourage you to listen to that about, kind of saying, doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how, if you've got the best automation system, you got Jotform into Asana, into Zapier, into the Moon, into the Second Star, into Mercury, back to the client, back to your own phone. It wasn't meant to go to me. Damn automation's cooked. It doesn't matter how good you are if you've got no clients to work for. Now, so the first and foremost thing comes to clients, finding the right people to work for, finding your little niche out. On the niche out, didn't talk about this, but a lot of people niche early on. And I know for me, I did an aircon apprenticeship, but finished as a Sparky. So I was doing some aircon work at the start and then quickly found that I couldn't do both.
Yes.
It's like 2 different van setups, Sparky versus aircon. But I know a lot of people that get to that 6, 8, 10 staff, you've got your clients, you've got your network, you've got your great people you work for. Okay, let's do aircon now. So that's a great option. An add-on, same with solar or level 2 if you're in New South Wales.
Data comms, even like delving more into the data comms world.
Do you remember back in the day when the old Sparkies wouldn't do data? It's like, oh, we don't do data. And I was just looking at going, it's legit an extension lead. Like this is an end-to-end
point.
Test, fit off, done, but it's very complicated. And if you got any clients out there throwing some cables around, tell them, get stuffed. You need a license to operate this machine.
You do. So lesson 2.
Lesson 2, staff.
We're going to talk about staff. So people in your team.
People. So first and foremost, we're focusing on people. So staff are people too. Clients are people too. And on this client front, if you've got heaps of clients, that's great. But you're going to need some staff to service. You're going to need some staff to service that and to keep the clients happy. And you've got to keep the staff happy and the clients happy. So there's a certain level of expectation that the staff members have to adhere to.
Are we juggling like a clown in a circus now?
There's 2 balls.
There's a few plates
Is everyone happy? When was your last sick day? Actually, it's personal day. How much annual leave you got? You got a new baby soon. People are so complicated. That's why I always liked electrical work, because circuit's not working. Sweet. Like there's a reason for that. We'll find it. It operates by law, and it's usually, what is it? What if you had to say the circuit's tripped? What are you gonna? What's the most common answer?
That the circuit's tripped?
Yeah.
Probably a faulty appliance.
Really? I was gonna say rain, like water.
Either or. Well, if it's dry, it's a faulty
water
appliance.
on your faulty appliance.
It's
the double.
If it's rain, it's usually water after PowerPoint or.
One day I was at my best mate's house from school, and shout out to Mike Vine.
Mikey.
Yeah, Mikey. So I remember just working there, and there was tripping, like the power tripping. When you get to a point you split the circuit up.
You test both ways. So both ends, you're like, oh no.
I'm like, maybe if I liven it up and grab both ends. But anytime you're splitting it up, it's like, that's just brutal, right? Like, fire. And I remember literally being in this inaccessible sort of ceiling, like couldn't get in this next section, and it was only going to one outlet. And then, I'm talking like new TPS, take PowerPoint off, new TPS. And anyway, so I was like, I pinned it to this like 5 meter drop, right? Anyway, I started taking some tiles off, stealing the sarking, and then burning the sarking because no one needs sarking. No, I didn't do that. You got to silver tape it back up. And I remember, like, legit.
Sure you did.
Bit of duct tape.
Yeah.
If electrical tape was sweet, I should hold it. Electrical tape, so funny. And I remember, like, legit finding this new TPS J-boxed into old cotton, another J-box in a TPS, PowerPoint fit off. And I was like, what in the world?
Who cooked it?
I thought it was your job.
One of your stuff.
Yeah, no, it probably was. No, anyway, so fault finding interesting. But yeah, people, lots to juggle, lots to think about, lots of when you're talking about people, clients or staff, you're talking about lots of moving parts. Like, are they in a relationship? Are they happy? Are they going away? Have they had something go on? Have they not had something go on, but you've still got to turn up at 7 o'clock and work till 3? Are you frustrated on your pay? Are you happy? Are you not happy? Did the toolbox talk? I called you out, but I didn't really call you out because, I said a general staff member, but it was just me and you. I was like, someone in this room, which is me and my apprentice, someone in this room is stuffed up. Staff. So a lot of moving parts, a lot to appreciate, a lot to learn with people. And I think you've got to operate in that sort of kindness front first and foremost, but recognize that without staff, you can't service your people. So let's first and foremost go on an underperforming staff member.
Yeah, well, look, underperforming, I think one thing first, let's just identify that we have an amazing community on the platform, which gives all our members access to electricians who have probably experienced what you're going through. If Crowie and I haven't gone through, because I will just preface
we've gone through a lot. We've seen some dark things.
And there's a lot of experiences that we both have been through that we could probably, some we can share, some we can't share too much on. But you will go through challenging times. I can, as the sun comes up and it goes down every day, I can guarantee there's going to be some experiences that you go through that are just completely uncomfortable and probably completely outside of your wheelhouse of how to handle it. So one thing that we can definitely help with on that front is around the staff frontage, I guess, is that there's not a lot we haven't seen and there's not a lot we haven't experienced. And also, too, we come across it, I would say, weekly with our members.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's different experiences weekly. So dealing with a...
and it changes daily.
Yes.
You can be so happy with Mark this afternoon and tomorrow morning you got a Mark doll putting pins in it. Like, damn you, Mark. Damn you, Roger.
So dealing with underperforming staff members, dealing with staff members in general, I always look at it from the point of view is I sort of apply the football analogy, is that we want to get their best and worst as close to possible as together as possible. And I've come across, I call it the yo-yo effect, is that you actually don't want yo-yos, because someone who belts out 100%, but then the next day belting out at 40%, that 100%, while it was great the day before, the 40% the next day is, I would say, more detrimental or compounding in just a bad negative way than the fact that they killed it the day before, because the flow-on effect it's so bad. So the yo-yo effect, so you want to get that out of your business at any cost to your staff members, because it's just a massive brain load on you as the business owner of how come you did that switchboard yesterday, but then today you did a quarter of a switchboard, and then the next day did it 1.5. Let's just call it for what it is. It makes scheduling an absolute nightmare, and it makes communication with your clients an absolute nightmare. Because look, he might get it done, she might get it done this week.
I remember turning up this one job. We were going to Europe, and I had like a couple of subbies and apprentices at this point. I remember turning up, and the guy was like, "Yeah, but it's this back-to-back 36 pole subboard with the main board at this pretty large resi house. And he's like, oh yeah, I've done pretty good. Like, it's almost ready to go. Like drilled the hole for the sub mains and clipped the brake, clipped all the RCDs on. And I was like, that's a day's worth of work. It was psycho. Like, it's just one of those ones you look at and you're like, okay, what were you doing?
Are we on the same page?
We are not on the same page.
We're not even in the book.
Yeah. I don't know what game you're playing.
Yeah,
I'm playing NRL. You're playing Snake One.
Yeah.
Right? Crazy. So, yeah, it's going to change so much. And I think underperforming staff members, you've got to call it out, but in a performance review way. So I've moved from performance reviews to staff catch-ups. I feel like it's a better terminology, but like recognizing in the first 3 months, there should be a first month, second month, third month catch-up. If it's not working, just say it's not you, it's me. I wish it was different. We're just going through a hard time at the moment. We need to fire us into some other person's company. So just like you got to call that early because it's no good having a bad apple does ruin the batch. Really does. Little extra yeast, no good for the bread.
It's not good at all.
Nah.
So I just put it down to communication. So you need to communicate often. You need to communicate frequently. And to the point that you need to keep your finger on the pulse. So like I've been guilty of this. I think we could almost line up this whole mini series based around how busy you get, because when you get really busy, it's the balls that you're juggling or you're carrying. They just get literally, it's like throw them over my shoulder, drop. I'm just going to walk off and not deal with them because I've got to deal with what's in front of me.
It's like someone bowling the balls back at lawn bowls to the other side. We're back. That's so true, right? Because when you get really busy, everything can, and it's rhythm, right? It's all about rhythm. When you get really busy, you forget about chasing more work, which is what you need to keep the staff members busy. When you get really busy, you forget about getting back to people, which you're going to need that in 3 months' time. When you get really busy, you forget to invoice. You're going to need that cash to pay the bills you're generating. When you get really busy, you get distracted and tired and burn out and frustrated. And when you get really busy, you stop catching up with your staff members or having those important conversations, or you start walking past things either on-site or off-site. So on-site meaning that PowerPoint hanging off the wall would be sweet. Like, you got a 4-year-old, just tell them to stay away from this general area.
The TV outlet and the PowerPoint, they'll be covered by a cabinet.
Yeah.
And they're 2 different heights.
Yeah, it's so good.
You're walking past.
Got a couple of holes.
Anymore.
Yeah.
You're like so tunnel visioned.
Or you're walking past going, I better not do an electrical health check at that job because we're really busy. And you're referencing, I think when you're referencing your current situation, this is why you need vision, because vision's like, where do I want to be at the end of 2024, end of 2026? And we're working towards that. When you're stuck, like you said, in a yo-yo, up, down, maybe doing what was it? Around the world?
Around the world, yeah.
And
walking the dog.
Walking the dog. I used to be really good at the rock, the crate.
The one where you
the cradle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mum's undies. But it was like the Bonds, like boy leg undies.
Was it the brain yo-yo? That everyone was
the
one with the little ball bearings.
Yeah. But you see the undies now are pretty much like pretty sexy, I'm gonna say. Mum's undies mean something different now than what they used to. All right. That was good. What are we talking? I don't know what we're talking about.
So just talking about
stuff.
Undies. So talking about stuff. If we're looking at the underperforming one, rehash. You're always recognizing that you're probably busy and there's an issue, but the wheels are starting to fall off the wagon because you're not staying.
And what if you reframe busy? Like, what if busy wasn't this overwhelming bad thing? What if busy was an indicator? What if it was like an indicator to, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Why? Because I'm doing 40 hours of site work, 40 hours of office work. What does that tell me? I need to hire an admin or, what if it was an indicator to be like, let's look at the deeper root of why you're busy. You've got a lot of work on. What do we need to handle that work? Staff. And it's crazy. And if your head's in 2029, 2039, 2050, as you said, if your head's in 2008, like that Black Eyed Peas song, remember they said, did they say I'm so 2008, you're so 2008?
Yeah. Don't know. I haven't listened to old Fergie Licious for a long time.
Fergie.
Black Eyed Peas.
You have a crush on Fergie back in the day. You?
Yeah, she was Pretty easy on the eyes.
Yeah. All right. Now, but what we're talking about?
I digress.
Oh, yeah. We digress again. So if your head's in 10 years' time, you're probably looking at, you'd love to retain those staff members. You'd love to have long-term clients and long-term staff members. In other words, long-term people around, long-term relationships. Because when the relationship's strong, you can have the big conversations and know you're going to wake up and they're going to still be your client or your staff member. And that's what you want. You want that relationship. You want that trust. And so focus up on, okay, if my head wants to have these people in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, then what I do today and the catching up matters. So if I'm focused up on today and I'm like, okay, let's put the Christmas party back, we're really busy, that's not best for our staff members. So it's best for your staff members focusing up today and you're like, we're really busy, we're going to put that catch up off to 2 weeks time, whatever, just get it. Like, that's not a long-term approach. That's a short-term damage control. And anytime you're in the short-term damage control mindset, there's going to be some more damage to control later in life.
It's quite literally just kicking the can down the road.
Yeah,
because there's
going to be more damage
when you get there. There's now 2 cans. That's all that happens. There's more collateral. And
we said this before, like a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush with your clients. So yes, look for new clients, but also don't forget about the ones you've got. So many times we can be looking for new staff members, but forgetting about the ones we've got.
Yeah.
And it's like, so if something's not working, you don't want to be too quick to fire. But if something's not working in the first 3 months, chances are it's not going to work in the next 36 months, But if someone's had a long-term staff, and what's your take on, and the time I had my finger off the pulse, like I remember being really busy and there was an issue with someone like with alcohol, pretty serious issue, like a rehab serious issue that I was completely, I'm not going to say I was unaware of, but I remember sitting there and I started catching up with people and talking to them about what's happening. And they were like, oh, there's always long necks on the way home, or there's always like late to work. Yeah, okay. And it's like, and then there was one where it was, I don't want to say anyone's name, but one of the apprentices came to me and was like, yeah, I was working on the switchboard because, he was, yeah. And I was like, this is like a second year, like really nice guy.
Identified it.
Yeah. And I was like, holy crap, it was like fully connected all the dots and being like, but I was too
removed,
inexperienced, or removed, or maybe I knew what was going on. Maybe I knew what was going on if you really asked me, but I didn't know how to handle it. So it was like, I guess that's what we're bringing to the table in Sparky Coach, like a community of people that talked about this stuff. And to be honest, if I had my finger on the pulse, I would have nailed the issue earlier, and not nail in terms of like everyone's fired, like nail in the terms of help everyone, because it's no good for the apprentice. Let's face that. They get thrown in a dangerous situation. It's no good for the tradie in question. It's no good for the clients. It's no good for me. No one wins. It's actually like, so just keep your finger on the pulse. And whenever you're too busy, let it be a trigger to be like, okay, why am I too busy and what needs to change for me to actually be able to do my job again? We always reference this, but I wouldn't expect you to do a 2-week roughing in 4 days. So if you're expecting yourself to do a week's worth of admin work in 1 day, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So what needs to happen?
So I think there's a couple of things here that I probably want to focus on with this stuff, because I know in my time, I've learned a hell of a lot, and I've been exposed to a number of different areas through working at different places, and
because you've had that big sort of gas plant like HR world. Yeah, I never had that.
No experience, and then as well as being quite young and having to manage a lot of people, and sort of just you're managing people who are more experienced than you, but also older than you as well. So it can be quite daunting. But probably from my experiences, there's a key couple of things I want to probably identify here. Is that first and foremost is that you're a team, right? You really need to identify that and understand that you're a team. And you can reference sporting teams, because I love my footy, I love my sport. That it's a really easy analogy for me is that what successful sporting teams do well, it translates to the business world as well. So, there's key people in key positions. There's clear understanding of what people's roles and responsibilities are. and there's clear communication of what the expectations are. So first and foremost, understanding that you're a team and how you want that team to look. So the priorities are, getting the team together. The priority is communicating with your team members. The priority with your team is making sure that they're happy. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day. Because if there's an unhappy person or there's multiple unhappy people, it causes issues. And you need to keep your finger on the pulse. And I was really guilty of this in the beginning. Is that I was just like, aren't they just happy that like they're here? Like we do good work.
Give you a job.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where the mentality needs to be very different. Where you need to communicate with them really very, very often, and keep your finger on the pulse. And one of the things that I've learned, probably particularly over the last few years, is creating a visibility. So just getting out there, checking in. It's completely different to a phone call, but really want to probably reference that, establishing the communication and the relationship. And you don't have to be their best friend or anything like that, but establishing a work relationship where you know what's going on with them and then they know what's going on with you, they know what's going on with the company, and that there's identifying potential pathways for them. Because if people can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, then the chances are that, there's options that are going to start coming in on the side. There's side roads where they can veer left and right if they want to. And that's why one thing that I really do is I like to give people what's coming up, job-wise, what we've got going on. And I think one thing that's really, really key to this is when you've got your not gun tradies, but your key tradies, that you assign them particular clients, because then it gives them an ownership, or you're giving them a particular job. It's like, hey, mate, I want you to look after that low-rise 6-story, mate. Would you be interested in that? Have a conversation with them. Like, go meet them on site and be like, hey, mate, these are the plans we've got here. This is where it's located. Is this something I've identified you that from what I can see, you look like you'd be interested? Is that something you want to do? It? And generally, I would say 99 times out of 100, the response is, that looks awesome. I'm pumped for that. And so they're taking now ownership of it. So I think probably for like a bit of a wrap on that is keep identifying that it's a team and having the mentality that it's a team and keeping your finger on the pulse with that team and making your team the absolute priority, because without that team, you've lost your billable hours. And what happens is you, who are not on the tools, have to go back on the tools, or you have to replace them. And that causes so much stress and anxiety.
Well, you can spend so much time and money getting clients, get the ideal clients, but if you can't service them, they will go somewhere else. Like that's the just reality. And referencing having your finger on the pulse, sharing that situation of speaking to that up and coming person or that top dog person about running that job. We've all been there. That's fantastic. Also referencing the other side of throwing someone in the meat cooker too early. It's like, be really careful. We've all been there. You've all left someone on a job, driven away and been like, are they going to be okay? Like, they're too inexperienced to handle this one. And chances are, once again, we're pulling it back to you're really busy and don't have the team. So if the wrong person, the wrong staff member can be servicing the right client,
yes,
and you can really affect everything. Because, you one mistake, one live cable away, one too large invoice away, one not communicated variations away, pretty much like you're a couple of
errors.
You're a couple of moves away from that pawn becoming a queen, the small issue becoming a large issue, and then you just kind of
that issue becoming your issue.
Yeah. The queen taking out your king, the king being your business, and you can see how quickly things can turn and overthrow. So, and to highlight the team, like the one team, one dream. I know you guys love that philosophy, but make sure your admin's included in that team as well, because so often the site people do some of the meetings and the admin people like, don't come yet. But it's important that everyone recognizes everyone's job. So the more the on-site people can be like, I respect what got me to this point, the more they can be like, okay, someone paid for the sign writing, someone is writing back to the Google reviews, someone paid for the advertising, someone stocked the car full of tools, someone someone's been running this business for 10, 15 years, 5 years. Someone got me this shirt. Someone organized the quote with the client. Someone scheduled this. Someone sent the quote out. Someone confirmed the quote. Someone confirmed the day. I'm just turning up to do the electrical work. So the more you can reference like the administration role, at first and foremost, really helps the on-site people respect that, and they get their job notes back hopefully now, because there's a mutual respect of like, I'm just a part of the puzzle. I'm just a part of the pieces, the moving pieces that work towards the greater good of the client being satisfied with the end of job. So it's like, then the more the admin people can understand the site people's points of view in terms of, hey, you've overbooked my day, I'm stressed out. Like there's no job notes because I didn't even eat lunch. I haven't had lunch since 1990. So the more it's like, the more everyone can respect each other and understand each other's roles, I think the more it puts in check the staff members' pay. We've all had that really good person wants more money because they think that nothing can run without them. But it's like, well, actually, you're just doing the easy thing. You're turning up and screwing some PowerPoints off and hanging some pendant lights. Like lots of people can do that.
Parts, yeah.
There's a lots of moving parts behind that. There's lots of subscriptions and automations and administration training and offsite training and apprentice training and sacrifice and time. So the more everyone can appreciate and understand that, where it's a holistic point of view.
What makes the business tick?
Yeah. So, you got this amazing client. Oh yeah, that's because I went there on a Sunday for 4 hours when I was a fresh side of the business and didn't charge them.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you miss what you're seeing now is the fruit of all my sacrifices. And the more you can let people in on that, I think the more people can understand, and they go, oh yeah, fine. Like I don't want to do that. I'm not going anywhere on Sunday. Sunday's my skateboarding day. So it's like, in your movements, don't forget that staff are people too, and don't forget that admin staff and field staff, it takes a village to raise a business.
It truly does.
And it takes efforts and energy from partners, and not just your partner, but your staff members' partners. I was speaking to someone the other day, and they took a staff member out on it was a hurricane in the Central Coast, but maybe it was windy. Gentle nor'easter blowing down. There's something happened, like a flash flood or something, and they contacted the staff member. Worked like a 12-hour day with the boss, and they got him and the wife a nice dinner. I'm like, that's such a holistic approach. Like when you're a parent, Sundays or overtime don't just affect the person, they affect the family. So the more you can have that holistic approach, the better. And the more you can help and understand, okay, there's a part of, and you'll understand this too, there's a part of parenting where you've got to be home at 4, or 4:30, or a predictable time frame within reason. And if you're consistently putting too much pressure on a young parent or a new parent, you'll probably find that they might think the grass is always greener at some point somewhere else, or start their own thing because they want the flexibility. So I'm not saying, but in saying all that, there's a job for them to do. So there's a job for them to do, but there's also grace to be had from your end, but there's also training to be had from your end, and there's also encouragement from your end, and understanding and a mutual respect. And it takes a village to raise a dream. And if your dream is locked in 2035, 2045, 2030, I think you're going to make some good decisions because they're based upon the future.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think identifying, and probably just reiterating what I've touched on earlier, is that identifying the importance and understanding the importance of communicating with your team and making your team and your staff a priority. Because if you make them a priority, in turn, they will make their job a priority to do the best they can in their life. The best they can on the job. And understanding and recognizing that without your staff, ultimately you're nothing, because they do the heavy lifting for you, and they are an important and vital cog to your team. And recognizing and understanding that times have changed. Took me a while to get my head around it. Things are different now than they were 20 years ago. They were different now than they were 10 years ago. They're different now than they were 5 years ago. So recognizing that and understanding the importance of your team and making them an absolute priority in your business.
You make them a priority, they'll build your business for you. Staff are people too, clients are people too. Be blessed. Have fun.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Cheers.